Hey, welcome back to the Lightspeed Lawn Care Marketing Podcast. This is your host, as always, Cody Owen, sitting down today with George Converse. He is the head of enterprise at Real Work Labs, and we are going to be talking about the next generation of SEO. As you guys know, I am pretty down on lawn care businesses running a blog on their website. I don't think anyone's reading it. We're writing it just for a robot to read it. And I think that because all of the platforms that used to get you a benefit on have gone so heavily pay to play, it's not really worth your time or investment to run a blog that not even the robots are paying attention to anymore. So I wanted to get George on because we were working with a new client and he showed me an amazing plugin on his website. And as we were digging into it, I was like, wow, this is a really cool thing on your website that just kind of shows where you work. It gives people like a visual representation of your service area. And I thought it was really cool on that level. And so I reached out to George to take a look at it. It links reviews. So you can see like people in my neighborhood, gave this company a 5-star review. You can see pictures of work. And so I reached out to George for a demo to take a look under the hood. And what I found out was that this is so much more impressive than just a cool map plugin for their website. And so we're going to get into the next generation of SEO that you guys are doing. So George, thanks for coming on the show. I really rambled a lot there at the top. I'm usually much quicker to get to the guests.
Yeah, man. No, you're good, man. No, super excited to be a part of the show. Thankful to be here and just excited to get into this, man. The whole landscape of the online marketing world and the whole digital space is completely evolving and changing in front of our eyes. And been doing this for the past 24 years, so super passionate and working with business owners. And it's just exciting to me to see like where we're at now and how things are shifting and changing. And even though there's a lot being pulled away from business owners, there's all that opportunity on the table too, which to me is just exciting.
Yeah. So let's dive in and take a look. We're just going to kind of walk through what you and I have already talked about. So hopefully I'll be able to ask some questions and give our guys some specific insight to the industry as we're going through it. But let's dive in.
Yeah, cool. So the first thing I'll just kind of point to, I've been doing this for 24 years, but beyond my expertise, I always go straight to Google because I think everybody listening right now can understand that there's more customers in your market right now as we speak on Google searching for what you do and offer, no matter what your business is, than any other site or any other place in the world. And so the more that a business owner can align with Google in any way, shape, or form, obviously there's more opportunity to gain more business, more exposure within your overall market. So I'm just going to share my screen real quick, but let me go ahead and pull this out here. And
the premise here is that if we're playing Google's games, we'll win Google's prizes.
Boom. Yep. And Google prizes is traffic, ranking, all that good stuff. And so we can kind of break that down a little bit as well too, just to kind of look at that. Let me go ahead and share my. So you should be able to see my screen, and I'll tell you what, Cody, go ahead and give me a search real quick. So let's just pretend for a moment you're a business owner and you could be lawn care or whatever business you want to choose in the home service space. Just give me a search real quick. What do you think somebody would be searching right now if they didn't have somebody, they didn't have a referral, and they just were going to Google looking for this type of business?
Yeah, let's do like landscaping in Springfield, Illinois. We'll plug our friend Jacob Godar up there, Scooters Lawn Care.
Landscaping. And where did you say again?
Springfield, Illinois.
Springfield. Noise. Perfect. So when we're doing this search, so obviously everybody on here is pretty familiar with Google at this point. When anybody's doing a search, there's going to be the typical advertisements, PPC, there's the LSA ads, guarantees. There's even some ads now that you can be doing in the map section of Google. Either way, we can wrap up all those ads. They typically garner about 8 to 10% of Google's traffic. But that means the majority of people are bypassing those ads. It's not that it's bad to advertise. Obviously, there's still a large chunk of people hitting through those ads. But there's the majority of people that are going to bypass those ads. And they're going to come down to what's called the Pack 3 in the map section, which most everybody is familiar with. This is actually where we started as a company 2.5 years ago, as we realized there was this massive opportunity because Google had made the mistake thinking that if somebody was searching in the map section of Google, they were going to hop in their car, drive to that location for that business. And most businesses, that's a true statement. A gas station, restaurant, retail store. But for home service businesses, I think everybody listening today knows that's not the truth. Most of your customers, if you're a home service business, are not hopping in their car and driving to you. And they're,
Hey, would you come mow my lawn?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're not knocking on your business door. And so there was the opportunity. Google realized they made a big mistake. And so how the map section had worked, one of the primary drivers for the past 20 years was based off distance. And so when people were searching on Google in the map section, where 73% of Google's traffic is, by the way, so the majority of the jobs that you want are actually in that map section in your market. But Google was just dishing off a little sliver of that pie when people were physically closest to your business. But for a home service business, most consumers are not driving to your place of business, so that doesn't really matter. Google then fixed it 2.5 years ago with what's called the schema update. Google said for home service businesses, you can structure data out in the field, which sounds kind of complicated. You can do what are called schemas and basically just prove the work that you're doing out in the field. And then instead of just showing up when people are super close physically to your office address and only being known by your office address, you could start showing up in all these surrounding city searches that you never could show for before by proving to Google the work you're doing. When we saw this happen, we just realized an opportunity. The leadership of our company, from the CEO, Pierce Burkle, to Rusty, myself and others, just saw that there was an opportunity here where most business owners in home service space were probably not even going to know this update happened. So everybody listening, I'd ask you, I mean, had you heard of the schema update with Google that happened 2.5 years ago? So we knew that there was an opportunity, A, to educate people even on what this was because it was massive. And then two, to actually come in and participate, because most business owners are not going to hire coders and have time for all this stuff and figuring out how Google's pivoting and changing on a daily, weekly basis. And so we took out the investment, we invested, built out the technology between an app, a dashboard, and a widget to allow our clients to easily drop schemas out in the field. We call them site-proof check-ins. We thought that sounded a little sexier than a schema, but ideally we're just offering an opportunity for our clients in the home service space when they're out there in the field doing the work they do, just to be able to show off all the beautiful work they do, leverage this update with Google, and create some massive opportunity. Now, the company you were asking about, Cody, did they show up in here by chance? Are they here, the one that you were mentioning?
Yes. That is Scooters there. The second result is
cool.
them.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we did an easy search here. So now let's do a little bit harder one. Give me a city around Springfield, a larger city that you think Scooters would like to get business out of outside of Springfield.
Ooh, man, it has been a minute since I looked at their suburbs. Let's try Bissell, because I can see that that's not too far from their shop.
Okay. And how do you spell that? It's just B-I, just like it sounds?
Yeah, Bissell.
Okay. Obviously, they'd want to get some business here as well, too. So when we come down here, and actually they're showing up here, so that's cool. A couple things just to kind of point out here when we're kind of doing these searches, and I'll kind of throw it out a couple different ways. So, and we could sit here doing search after search. We don't want to obviously take the whole show doing that. But the idea is this: when people are physically close to your actual location, you guys are going to show up sometimes, especially if it's in your city. If it's some of the surrounding cities that are closer, you might show up in some of the outskirts of those as well too. As people get physically further away from your location, you're just not going to show up. Your competitors are going to show up who are closer. And you guys at home can do searches as well too. Hop on Google, do a search for the services you offer in the city. You'll probably show up there. Start searching some of the surrounding cities. 9 out of 10 times you probably won't show up in all those searches. But that's where there's the first opportunity was. And so in you dropping...
Hey, if we can... Real quick, I just want to say, like, I know what a lot of guys have done in the past, and I think they're still seeing some residual benefit from this, is you would build out a landing page on your website for like every suburb for every service. So I know that, like, I used to work for Jonathan Potoshnik, who owns one of the biggest lawn care businesses in DFW. His website would have, you know, every DFW suburb they worked in, and then a page for each service, so that they had all of that. Like, it was very like keyword stuffing from way back in the day. And so a lot of guys are still seeing some residual benefit from that, but that is tapering off because eventually Google is going to expect you to be playing by today's rules, not 15 years ago's rules. And so that's where, even if you're still seeing, you know, a high rank in, you know, several of your suburbs or whatever, you need to start thinking about, okay, how do we stay on
Yep.
top? It's not, you can't just like sit back and be like, okay, well, we did it.
Yep.
Google's going to expect you to continue updating your website.
Yep, 100%. I'm glad you kind of pointed that out. And it's also kind of just realizing too, there's these different areas of what you're doing for your business. So again, you could be creating all these separate pages on your website with all these keywords, with all these surrounding cities. And in the past, that would work really, really well in the organic section of Google to get some presence there. But kind of like Cody just mentioned, that's going to be tapering off more and more.
Well, and they're trying to punish inorganic content that is designed for robot consumption is starting to be punished.
Yep.
And so if they look at the structure of your website and they see that you've got every suburb listed, every service listed under that, they're going to see that you're keyword stuffing.
Yep.
And so as their algorithm for search gets smarter, it is actively punishing things that were designed to exploit the system previously, 100%. Because the goal is like value rich content for whoever's searching, not ranking content for whoever wrote it.
100%. And even just to kind of back that up as well too, again, opposed to just listening to us talk about this as well too, is we can go straight to Google. Literally at the top left corner, you can see blog.google. This is all public information. Anybody can check this out. And this was back in this past August for 2022. And to me, this was one of the bigger things I've ever seen Google do as a company. That was just massive, throwing a big wrench at everybody's face, but pretty much restructuring the way internet works altogether. And so the big idea is kind of two things here. This was the helpful content update. And again, ask yourself, hey, is this something you're aware of as a business owner? Have you heard about the helpful content update? Are you actively doing something in regards to how the internet is shifting? Because this is massive and it's affecting pretty much everybody. So if you've also noticed that you're losing phone calls and not as many people are calling, or you're not getting as much traffic to your website, this is probably a huge part of that, because just like Cody was talking about, this update, the purpose of it is to tackle content that seems to have been primarily created for ranking well in the search engines, aka SEO. And I think Cody mentioned, SEO is dead. Our CEO just did a talk literally called The Death of SEO. So I loved it when Cody brought that up as well. So things are just changing in a major way. So if you're paying somebody to do traditional SEO, or you're doing it yourself, and you're just doing all the traditional things of trying to stuff keywords on your website and try and game the system, Google's getting smarter and smarter to be able to crack down and tackle these pieces. And, Google's kind of like this 1,000-pound gorilla. You do not want them tackling your, marketing strategy online. Essentially, you really want to be in their graces and really align yourself with them. And so this bold title here, it's very simple but really profound, is really the new direction of where Google's going, which they're going to pretty much bribe you, in my opinion, with better ranking, the more original quality content. And of course, they're talking more about pictures and videos. It's more of a rich thing that consumers are demanding. They want to consume pictures and videos more so than reading words these days. It's kind of interesting, but it's just, I guess, where we're at as a society of what we'd like. But the cool part about this to me is that when we look at the full impact of this on people's businesses, I mean, almost anybody's business you can pull up right now, peek behind the curtains, and I'll give you guys a tool that you can look behind the curtains of your own website if you don't have one already. And if you peek behind it, anybody for the most part investing in any type of meaningful SEO, and it's not your SEO company's problem or fault necessarily that these things are happening, just so people understand that as well too. Google just completely restructured this, but 9 out of 10 times, if you are doing something meaningful, you're going to see this pullback of keywords, this pullback of traffic, and an average about a 30 to 50% cut of traffic loss that's happened for most people because of what we're discussing here. So the big part is, how do you get on the right side of Google? How do you align with Google moving forward in this new economy of what's happening? Again, it's all about original quality content that's helpful for consumers. So the more you are able to generate helpful, original quality content on your website on a daily, weekly basis, no longer a monthly, yearly basis, you're going to greatly benefit from this. And I'll give you guys some examples here real quick. So we'll kind of look at 2 different companies. One of them is not my client, and then one of them is my client. So if we pop over here, you guys are probably, well, 2 things. First off, we're going to talk about SpyFu real quick. SpyFu, it's a free tool that I use. You guys can use it as well too. It's spyfu.com. We have no association with them or the other company I'm going to talk about in just a moment. But again, it's a free tool. You can plug any website in here and just peek behind the curtains. It's not perfect, but gives you a pretty darn good idea of the trends and where things are going. And so if we look at Home Advisor, and if you go to Home Advisor's website, most of you probably are aware of them, and big company in the home service space, but their website's primarily filled with stock photos. So it's not really following along with what Google's asking for yet. And again, they're a massive company. So that would be like asking the Titanic to turn on a dime and not hit that iceberg. And we all know how that story ended. So, when we kind of peek behind their curtains here as a company and we look here, you can see this past year, they lost about 1,900 keywords as an organization on a national scale. So like massive loss. We can look at their traffic, about 4 million people a month hitting their website consistently throughout the year. August at the bottom, Google drops the bomb. And like anything, it takes a couple months to sink in the effects of this. November, they pretty much fall off a cliff with their traffic, losing close to 50% of their traffic as an organization nationally. And they're paying on average about $1.6 million a month to Google. And so when you look at this picture, you can see on a very large scale, like how this update is affecting not just large companies, but every company across the board who've been doing anything worthwhile in that. And I would imagine, Cody, too, like with what you've seen with anybody and everybody that you talk to in spaces, you've probably been seeing similar things, right?
Yeah, I mean, my concern with a lot of the organic traffic stuff is that you really don't have any control over it because things can change at any time. And so part of what I've been saying is like, if you can't come up with a real way that your blog that you're doing for SEO is valuable outside of SEO, then like you're investing all of this money. And it was, probably the right decision in 2004 to do that. But you don't have any control over when Google pulls the rug out from under you. So if people are going to invest in something for organic traffic, I want it to be something that's going to be valuable to their potential customers and their actual customers, regardless of whether it's helping your organic 100%. Traffic, whether it's helping your ranking, rather.
No, that's 100% right on. And I think you hit the nail on the head on the fact that too, like as a business owner, especially when it comes to organic, if you're going to play the organic game, first off, you need to make sure you own it as much as you can. And obviously nobody owns Google but Google. We're playing in their sandbox. So we need to understand their rules. But when we're understanding their rules and we're participating there, the more you can align with activities that you're doing and investing in that you own and can continually benefit your business, even beyond the traffic generation piece, you're going to just keep winning. And that's kind of where we as a company stepped in. And again, we saw this opportunity where, again, Google kind of made a mistake with schema. And then as a result of that, they opened up this opportunity where businesses could start dropping all these schemas, but business owners didn't even know they could do this. They didn't know how to do it. And even for those who knew how to do it and figured out how to do it, it was just a lot of work, a lot of headache, because it wasn't as easy as going to Google and uploading a photo. You need to hire coders and do a bunch of other things to do that. So we've just built out software to make it real simple and easy in less than 20 seconds a day. For our clients, we have 1,000 plus clients that are successfully leveraging our technology out in the field and these updates with Google to benefit in some really major ways. So when we look at that, our clients are just easily generating, and they've been doing this for the past 2.5 years with us, original quality content, which is the cool part. Before even the helpful content update came out, all of our clients were doing this. And so I'll give you a case study with just one of my clients. And so we'll pop over in here to SpyFu. So one of my clients that we'll kind of do a little case study here with, they're called All American Plumbing, Heating, and Air. And they're out of California, 2 locations. So this isn't some major Goliath national company by no means, but 2 locations out of California. And we've been working with them for probably about 1.5 years now. And the cool part is this, is that, again, our clients were already creating all this original helpful content before Google even asked for it, because they were creating all these schemas and site proofs through our technology, showing off all the beautiful work of what they do out in the field. And as a result of it, when when the helpful content update hit in August, fast forward a couple months to take effect, a lot of our clients, if not most, really benefited in a heavy way, because what happened is when you see like Home Advisor and all this traffic being pulled away from them on a national scale, and again, you could plug into SpyFu, any of your competitors, plug your own website into SpyFu, look at what's happened to your own organization, all this pullback that happened, all these people searching for the services you offer, your competitors offer, that Home Advisor is offering services to, didn't just disappear into thin air. So Google had to reassign these people to somebody who was doing the right thing and pull it away from the people who weren't doing the right thing with the new system of what they were doing. And so when we look here and just kind of look behind the curtains at this past year for my client, they gained over 13,000 keywords this past year. The last time I looked at this, actually, which was maybe, I don't know, 2 weeks ago or something, I believe this was at like 12,000 keywords. So just in the past couple of weeks, they gained another 1,000 plus keywords. So they've been heavily moving in the right direction here because, again, they're just doing what Google wants and leveraging our technology to do it easy. They're averaging about 10,000 people a month. So divide that in half because they have 2 locations. It's like 5,000 plus people that need their services. They're getting in front of on a monthly basis. The coolest part to me, though, when I looked at this for the first time, is that over the past year, they went from a little over 1,000 people a month hitting their website organically. They've more than 10x their traffic this past year. So massive growth. But the coolest part is if we look in August where Google dropped this major bomb, restructure the internet, we fast forward a couple months for it to take effect. And you can see my client actually did flinch and they went down. And I call this a spring load. They kind of spring loaded as Google was readjusting. And then you look at the amount of growth that they had in just a couple months. The next 2-3 months was far more growth than the past several months they experienced. And again, a big part of that was that helpful content update. And when Google pulled back all this traffic from everybody else, they had to reassign it to somebody. And as you can see, my client heavily benefited because, again, they were just doing what Google asked for before Google asked for it, creating all this original quality content that's extremely helpful.
This goes back to what I said at the top of the episode about, you want to play Google's games to win Google's prizes. They dropped the schema language and structure, and that's in collaboration with Microsoft and Yahoo. So they also use that language. So you're going to get benefits on the 2 and 3 search engines. I don't know how much they, matter to the grand scheme of your business. But so they dropped that update. And then the people who started working with that before the search algorithm changed, they're just using the markup language to be playing Google's games. Google has announced there's a new place to play. There aren't any prizes for it yet, but you can play there. And then when this hits, when the quality content change hits, they have been playing Google's game. They're the ones who get to go pro then and get all of the prizes that come from it. And that's why you see that trend. They're a plumbing and air conditioning company, right? They shouldn't be trending skyward. There should be seasonality to that, especially in California, where you see, like peak of summer, people caring about air conditioning, peak of winter, people caring about heating. And it, kind of follows a weather trend that you could see. But what you're seeing when you look at that graph is, and I'm saying some of this for the benefit of people who are listening to us on the podcast feed rather than watching on YouTube, you're seeing it just trend straight up. So that is the power of doing what Google wants when they want it.
You might be asking yourself, like, why is this happening? Why is Google shifting all this like so crazy? And a big part of this is over the past several plus years, all these social media companies have come on the playing field with Google because they're all, even though they're doing somewhat different things, they're competing for ultimately everybody's attention and time is really what's happening here. And so if you think about all these companies like Facebook and Twitter, TikTok, and just all these crazy companies that have come on the scene, they're producing crazy amounts of original quality content on a daily, weekly basis. Crazy amounts. Obviously, their users are. And so when this is happening, obviously, again, consumers would rather consume would rather consume pictures, videos, all that kind of good stuff, more so than reading words. And so all of these people have been spending far more time on social media companies than on Google. So that's a lot of lost revenue for Google as a company when you're losing all this attention and time. And that's why even Google tried to do their own social media play. I don't know if everybody remembers that, but the Google Plus thing, which obviously didn't quite work out. But to me, this is a much smarter way for Google to not have to reinvent their DNA of who they are as a company, but still participate in a really large way of essentially kind of bribing you as business owners or everybody who has websites to almost treat your website like your social media profile and generating massive amounts of original quality content that's relevant for consumers who are searching, which is pretty cool.
Can we show them?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, let me pull that up so they can kind of see how this is participating here. So this is one of my other clients, Stash Luck. This is a horizontal view for our widget. So this is his website, but this map that you're seeing here to the right, and then all of this content feed here to the left is all our widget that we inserted on top of his website page. And this is what's playing those two updates with Google, the schema update as well as the helpful content update. And so the cool part about this is think about it this way too. Websites really haven't changed so much over the past 15 plus years, for home service businesses at least, if we really think about it. It's still mostly this flat type experience. And so you think of the Zillows of the world, Amazons of the world, creating these billion-dollar websites and just this different, robust type experience in the digital world, so to speak. Home service businesses really haven't evolved that much. And so what most home service businesses do is they just simply dump somebody on their homepage of their website. And when you think about what you're doing there is if somebody's on Google doing a search, they probably don't know who you are yet, or they would have just called your business and been doing business with you already. So it's a stranger. And they do a search, and when they find you, first off, if they don't find you, they can't call you, so there's that problem. But again, if you're dropping all these site proofs, you can influence the rankings to make yourself more relevant, to show up in more of these searches all over. Our clients dropping even one site proof a day on average, 2, 3, 4 months later, in a lot of cases are knocking a lot of their competitors off these front page placement in the pack 3 in the map section, where 73% of those jobs are, and gaining more relevance. But even beyond that, no matter how somebody's finding your business and they're clicking through and they're going to your website, most business owners dump those people on their homepage. And then you're forcing somebody who's a stranger trying to get to know you to dig around your website to find the information they need to get comfortable. And that's why a large portion of your traffic you lose, and they click the back button and they go to your competitors. For our clients, when somebody clicks through, it's an interactive experience. The map's going to literally zoom in on the neighborhood where the prospective person who's looking to do business with actually lives. And so when it does this, what it's doing is it's getting to a place that's going to make somebody feel familiar, because we all know our neighborhoods of where we live. We know our cross streets. So we're going to be like, well, shoot, like I live right here. And people aren't used to this type of experience when they're working with home service businesses. And then they get curious and they start clicking on these houses and looking at different pictures, videos. Apologize, my screen's kind of minimized right now. I forgot to do that. So you're kind of seeing a smaller image, but you'd see the full image of the work that, this type of business is doing in the field. And or you could just scroll through the left and see all the pictures and videos, video testimonials, and even reviews of your neighbors in your neighborhood. And so this is a hyper local experience. And this goes back to what Cody mentioned earlier of really tying into something that's personal and quality with what you're doing in an organic experience, because trust is the biggest thing you're trying to accomplish with a brand new stranger who's looking to do business with you. And the sooner and quicker you can get somebody to trust you, sooner quicker they're picking up the phone and calling you. So if I was looking for somebody to do lawn service or a plumber or a roofer or whatever type of business it is, I'd literally be able to see all my neighbors who did business by you just doing these site proofs out in the field. You can do it through our app. Any of your employees or staff can be empowered with our app. Less than 20 seconds, they can drop a site proof while they're out in the field. Or even easier, we have a dashboard, an admin, office manager, somebody from your office who's collecting all these photos that you take out in the field, whether through Company Cam or other softwares or texting, however you want to do it, automatically upload these site proofs and they come onto the map. And again, just create that trust.
Yeah, for our like lawn care maintenance guys listening, a lot of them will have a dispatcher who is kind of who runs the office. And this really feels like, so I know a lot of people that listen know me from my days at Service Autopilot. This would be a fantastic thing to have. Whoever's doing your routes in Service Autopilot or your CRM and sending guys out, getting back job notes and photos from that day's work when they go to close out day on their route, then they could do these site proofs at the same time and, kind of knock that all out at once. So that, because I know sometimes guys are worried about like, you're turning guys in the field loose. It's bad enough that they have to rely on like one app to get them from house to house, putting them on a second one. I think with plumbers, you're dealing with a different employee set, because when the plumber's going out, that's like different than the guys that are on a mow crew. So you could have someone in the office do this as well.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, and it's pretty simple either way. Whether you do it out in the field, do it from the office. Most of my clients just do it from the office because that's the easiest. You can have somebody there. Takes less than 20 seconds to do.
Mhm.
You can upload them once a week or daily, however you want to do them. Obviously, the more the merrier. It's just creating more exposure for your business with this. But the cool part about this, in creating this type of hyper local experience for a potential customer, consumer that's using it, there's two different people to consider here. There's the cold traffic, people who don't know who you are yet, who are just landing on your site. And it could even be word of mouth traffic that's landing on your site. They get to see all of their neighbors doing business with you, reviews, testimonials, pretty much just selling these people on who you are and what you do. And this is also a selling tool. So for anybody who's out there selling on behalf of your company, whether it's door to door, face to face, over the phone, they can literally pull up this map on their cell phone, tablet, on a computer, and show this off to the prospective customer,
Yeah.
all of the jobs, reviews that you have in their neighborhood. And it's just a very personal experience that most, if not all of your competitors can't replicate. So at the end of the day, once somebody sees this and you've opened their eyes, they can't unopen their eyes. So even if they want to research and shop your competitors, they're not going to have any clue which neighbors of theirs are working with your competitors, and they're going to come back to you. It's kind of like if I asked you to pull out the yellow pages and use that to pick a home service company and hire them compared to going to Google and getting the highest reviewed company. They're going to demand this type of experience. And so if a consumer has a choice to go with, your competitor that has 100 reviews or go with you that has 100 reviews, but they know that 10 of those reviews are their neighbors that they can see, and they can see pictures of the quality of work that you did in their neighborhood, they're going with you 100% of the time.
One thing I would say here also, as we kind of come to the end of the time we have on the show, is that, plumbing and HVAC and those sorts of businesses are usually a few years ahead of where lawn care and landscaping is. We kind of lag behind other industries, and this is an opportunity to be at what's basically the ground floor of the next generation of SEO. So I know a lot of guys kind of miss the days of Google ads, or they miss the days of super cheap leads on Facebook. And this is the opportunity to get into that next thing that in 10 years, it'll be standard in everyone's business. But 80% of the benefit is going to get eaten up by the guys who become big using it.
100%. Yeah. I think once again, it's always about first movers advantage in anything that you're doing in life. And obviously those who kind of hop on the bandwagon first with what they're doing. And the cool part about this bandwagon is it's Google. Google is going this direction. So whether you go this direction or not, they're already going this direction and moving at a very fast pace. So the quicker and faster that you ultimately get on board and ultimately start doing these things, the more that you can benefit for your business with what you're doing. And the cool part is too, we work with 1,000 plus clients in the home service space and everything from plumbing, roofing, lawn care, solar, heating and cooling, all this kind of fun stuff and everything in between. So if you, again, own a business, you're out in the field, you're doing work out in the field, and you are able to capture pictures, videos of the work that you're doing, just know that's going to heavily benefit you. And our technology can just make it simpler for you to leverage this in one of the most meaningful ways. That's not only going to help to influence the search and rankings, the map section, can also help to generate more word of mouth business for you. And one of the biggest things for our clients is this experience is generating on average about a 19 to 49% increase in conversion on their websites compared to not having this experience there. And all that means is that from the existing traffic on our clients' websites, they're generating about 19 to 49% more phone calls and lead submits as a result of this process. So it just makes any and all marketing dollars you're spending currently more efficiently, in some cases allow you to draw back some of those dollars and save money, but most importantly, just represent your business at the highest level and hop into the future with where Google's going.
Hey, I promised that I would give Dave from the Lawn Officers a shout out, since he is who first showed me this plugin on his website. George, I want to thank you so much for your time. Hey, if you are still watching this video 35 minutes in with us, make sure that you leave a like down below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. This is the kind of content that we put out here. We're trying to help lawn care and landscaping businesses be at the cutting edge of digital marketing, and so that you can grow your business, dominate your market, George, thank you so much for your time today. If people want to find you,
Yeah, I mean, you can always check out our website, just www.realworklabs.com. But as well, too, you can just reach out to me direct. You can literally text me, call me. My direct number is 480-787-7575. And if you text or call direct, I'd be more than happy to offer even a free custom demonstration to not only go through everything, but more importantly, pull back the curtains for you within your market, your competitors, and actually show you what's going on in your market and how this could directly benefit you.
well, all right, guys, we will see you next week.